The rumors were appearing. Little glimmers of stories, it's almost like stories of dragons from the edge of the world. We were hearing stories of fish up to 150 pounds. You know, I heard stories about people seeing ducks floating down the river, and then boom, out comes this impossibly big fish. If the rumors were true, we needed to get on that river. We needed to find out what was going on biologically. We heard about the big taimen from Russians. And they said, Guido, there's this river called the Tugur, that's way in the wilderness of the Russian Far East. And the taimen get to be so big that they attack and feed on adult salmon. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. The Russian Far East is the last frontier. It's the last place where you've got entire, intact, healthy salmon watersheds. But change is coming. We also heard that the river was getting hit hard by industrial-scale poaching up and down the river. And we know that the biggest fish are the first ones to go. We really needed to get to some of these rivers to find out if the taimen had survived the poaching. I heard a rumor about a Russian scientist that was also a fly fisher in the Russian Far East. People said, you've got to meet Dr. Skopets.
It should be good as well.
Yeah.
Both sides are fine. Okay, so Lucy.
He's not only Russia's first fly fisherman, but he's a field scientist that's discovered new species of salmonid fish all over the Russian Far East. And he disappears into the wilderness and comes back at the end of the field season with amazing new discoveries. So Skopets is kind of like the Indiana Jones of wild salmon.
My father took me fishing when I was 5 years old. Since that time, I understood that it's what I want to do in my life. And I don't want really to do anything else except fishing.
I grew up with a fishing rod in my hand. My grandfather and my aunts and uncles fished, so I grew up fishing.
So it's really a remarkable opportunity to integrate yourself into the ecosystem, and there's very few things quite like fly fishing.
I was about 28 or 29 years old, and I could see the salmon and steelhead runs were declining dramatically. I knew that we were at risk of losing these miraculous fish, and it really hit close to home. And I decided to really focus my life then on salmon and steelhead and trout conservation and trying to protect them. The Tugur is one of the most remote watersheds left in the world. It is one of the last truly wild salmon rivers. The river goes on for hundreds of miles of endless braids. It's like a labyrinth of channels. It cuts back and forth, creating this mosaic of different kinds of habitat for all these different species of fish.
First time I was here in the year 2001. We were dropped by helicopter about 100 kilometers from here. A small rubber raft, some gear, nothing really, no luxury.
And he came back with stories of giant taimen.
It was the first time I was able to catch good-sized taimen with a fly.
A taimen is a member of the salmonid family. This is the family that has all the trout, Atlantic salmon, the Pacific salmon, and the taimen. but they're really just a huge predatory trout.
It's one of the oldest salmonids which are still existing. The last dinosaurs were existing about 60 million years ago. Taimen is about 50 million years. Maximum possible length is about 2 meters. And such fish could weigh probably close to 200 pounds. We could compare this fish with a tiger. It could consume mammals, birds, wild ducks, muskrats, not only fish. It's a top predator. And the predators, they are very good sign about the system. It's the most vulnerable species. If there is enough tigers in the forest, you could be sure it's a really healthy ecosystem. The same we could say about the river. If there's something wrong with the river, cannot be a healthy population of taimen.
One of the things that Dr. Skopets found years ago was there was an incredible epidemic of poaching for salmon.
At that time, the Tugur was not in the best shape.
They come in and they set up nets. They drag the fish in, they cut the females open, and they grab the eggs, the caviar, and this has become an epidemic. On this river, there were poachers supposedly on every gravel bar, and the salmon runs were declining, and it was crazy. And then the river was discovered by a powerful Russian businessman named Alexander Abramov. At that point, an extraordinary thing happened on the Tugur. Abramov decided, you know what? I'm not going to allow this poaching on this river. He kind of sees this as his river. So he and his men worked with local law enforcement. They conducted anti-poaching patrols, and they stopped the poaching on the Tugur and basically saved the salmon run.
That was like that. People understood, walk away. That's it.
And so he leased the fishing rights for the Tugur and then built a camp on the river. He knew this would help keep the poachers away.
I think that what is important just to realize that some parts of that nature are fragile. And if you just destroy them, there will be no more.
I mean, the real question is, can these rivers recover from that level of poaching? Can the giant taimen return? That's a key question. If we are able to find some big taimen, there's some critical information that we need to learn. We need to know population size. We need to know how long they live. And we really want to find out why these fish get to be so huge. That'll tell us if the river's recovering and that it can recover, and biologically what we need to do to protect this fish. Fly fishing is one of the best ways to get our hands on a fish without killing it. So we experimented with different kinds of feathers and synthetic materials and different levels of flash and colors. Technique. Do you move the fly fast? Do you let it drop? You need to be on the bottom. And I will say that we don't have the answers yet. We spent long days not catching anything, in hopes, that lightning will strike.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ah, lost it.
He broke the hook. Big fish, huh?
Not very big fish, 45 pounds. Very fast, strong, fast, but not huge, not huge. Yeah.
We are at the 11th hour for our wild fish, so there's not too many chances left. There he goes. All right, we got an issue here. I can't move this fish. He's too big. He's coming right now. Oh, awesome. All right, there we go, we got him. Sweet. Look at that. That is a freaking dinosaur. We've now gathered data from hundreds of taimen. We can see that the whole ecosystem is being driven by nutrients brought in by the salmon runs. And as the salmon runs have returned, so have the giant taimen. Bon voyage.
The Tugur is the best one of remaining rivers. The taimen is in great shape, and now we could see how the true healthy salmon river should look.
It's about people who are actually doing the same job, trying to protect nature. And I'd like my son to see the same fish like I did, and my grandsons to see the same. And that's the most important part.
In this watershed, Alexander personally has protected the forest, he prevented mining, he's chased away the poachers, and all the land around it is going to be turned into one big park, because the Russians are just as passionate about wild fish and rivers as we are.
This is a true stronghold, and I wish it will be forever.